I'm Jenny Fish from One Big Happy Yarn Company. Welcome back to the Osborn Scarf and Hat Knit Along. In today's episode, we're going to tackle the hat. We're going to start from the center out with a magic ring cast on, working in double pointed needles, switching to circular needles, and we'll finish up with ribbing. Let's get started. So let's talk about pattern and supplies. We'll be using the Malabrigo Rios in the Almond Blossom and the Arco Iris 100% superwash merino wool. So we're going to be using double pointed needles, also known as DPNs. There's points on both ends. This is one of them. Then we'll be switching to a circular needle, and I'm using interchangeable needles. If you have a fixed needle, that's fine, but we will be using two different tip sizes. This is a US 7 for the main part of the hat, and then when we get down to the ribbing, we're going to switch out to a size 5. That's what makes the hat kind of scrunch and stick to your head. So we're going to the smaller size. Now, like I said, if you have fixed needles, you'll want the cord to be 16 inches in a US size 7 and a US size 5. So you can make that, or interchangeable. That's where the tips come off and you can switch them out. So I'll show you how we do all of that. So that's the basics of the supplies that we'll need, is the yarn and the needles. We will be working with a magic ring cast on, and I really want to go over that and show you how to get started on that. For this project, double pointed needles is perfect to start out with for the magic ring. Less fuss. You can try it with the circular needles, but I wouldn't recommend it. Save yourself some time. Okay, so I've got my yarn here, and we're doing a magic ring cast on, and this is the knitting version of it. Wrap it around and make a circle. So I'm going to show you that a couple of different times. I'm holding my yarn like this, wrapping it around, my tail's over here. Show you that one more time. Here, this is coming from the ball this way, and wrapping it around and bringing my tail down here. And there's a reason that we need it to go this way, because later on we'll be cinching it up, and if you get it crisscrossed or if you're going the wrong direction, it won't work right. So here's our loop. We're going to take our double pointed needle, put it through the loop, bring our active yarn around. That's the one that's attached to the ball. Swing down and come around. Then we're going to do basically a yarn over just like that, and then back into the loop just like this, and around the needle, swoop down. So now we've cast on 3 stitches. Wrap it around, bring it in, wrap it around, bring it out. Now we've got 2 more on there, so now we have a total of 5. We need 6. So the last one is just going to basically be a yarn over like this. Just wrapping it around your needle. You want to hold the tension back here because you don't want that to slide off. Still leave your ring open. Now, this is the reason for the double pointed needles. I'm going to slide it all to the other side over here, and I'm going to grab my next double pointed needle. Now I'm going to knit into all 6 of these stitches, just a regular knit stitch. And this, from the yarn over, kind of goes over the back side of the other stitches. That's perfectly fine. So we're going to slide into here and knit. This is considered round 1, and I know that it seems like you're knitting a row, but this is actually a round because your yarn came from this last stitch all the way over here to this next stitch. So you knit all the way across. That's round 1. Now at this point, I like to snug up this tail. See how I'm sliding? It's like a little magic trick. I like to snug it up a little bit, but still leave it a little bit loose because we have round 2 that we need to work. And round 2, slide everything here, and we're going to start over here. If you've ever done an I-cord before where you knit across, slide, it's kind of that idea for these first couple of rounds. Now you knit. Now here you want to tug this a little tight because you want to cinch up that side, and you knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over. You're doing this all the way across. And your last one on here is going to be a yarn over again. So you want to make sure that you don't lose that stitch. Now at this point, I'm getting several stitches on here. So I'm going to spread these out over my DPNs, my double pointed needles. And I'm going to start by on round 3, showing you how to do that. Now, again, that's going to cross over that stitches. Hold it a little bit tighter, just this once. And knit the first stitch, knit the second stitch. And let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to put 4 stitches on each double pointed needle. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to let that hold down here. Grab my next one. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And then grab my last one. See how it's evening out there. And knit these 4 on there. So now I have 3 needles holding my stitches, and I'm going to have 1 needle that I'm actually using to knit, and then I'll transfer each of the stitches over there. So it'll look something like this. At this point, you can go ahead and pull the tail tighter, and it's going to really cinch up those stitches in the center. Pull those all together, and that's at the very top of the hat, and I'll show you right here. This little star area right here, that's what we just made. That's all cinched up, and that's where we start on this hat. So this is a center out hat. We're starting here and working our way down. So the next round is pretty much the same. You'll follow the pattern, but you'll be increasing every other round, and then you'll be changing to your contrasting color to give it the striped look. So I'm going to go ahead and knit across here, knit 2, yarn over, knit 2, yarn over. Be sure to keep that yarn over on that last needle. I'm taking the now empty needle and going to use that to knit with on the next needle. Make sure you don't lose this yarn over, because that's going to become a stitch on the next round. Knit 2, yarn over. So those yarn overs are creating a little bit of a pattern in the hat by giving it a little like eye hole or a little gap. I'll show you again on here. Put my hand in there so you see. See these are the increases that we're doing with yarn overs, and it's giving it a little bit of a design on the hat, a little spiral design. So you'll go ahead and continue following the pattern, doing your yarn overs, knitting, joining your yarn. It's the same as we did with the scarf, so you can check that out. But basically, you just pick up and knit with the next color. You're going to continue using the double pointed needles until you have enough stitches on your needles that you can switch over, feel comfortable switching over to a circular needle. And that's personal preference, but I've found that it's usually right around, let me show you on here, right around this section here. And I'll show you what that looks like on my next sample. So I'm at the point where I have enough stitches on my needles that I believe I'm comfortable enough to switch over to my circular needles. And it just so happens to be that I had just finished the increases. So I'm at the body of the hat down past the crown. But yeah, to switch over to your circular needles, it's super easy. You just start knitting with those instead of your double pointed needle, and you just continue around. Now at this point, something to point out, I have a locking stitch marker in here because I was using the double pointed needles and it would have fell off. Once I make it all the way around, I can take that off and now put it on my needles, and I'll show you that when I get there. But I leave it in here for now until I make it all the way around. Then I can just take it out and let it ride on my circular needles. I have a 16-inch cord here. That's a good fit for me. It's what I'm comfortable with. You could also continue with the double pointed needles if you wanted, or you could do 2 circular needles as well. Whatever you're comfortable with and what works for you and what you have. But I do recommend trying different styles to see and different projects, like see what styles work with different projects. As we've learned with the scarf and with this, the perspective of, hey, I don't usually use that, but for this pattern, it worked like a dream. So maybe in the past you've tried using a circular needle and just didn't like it and want to stick to double points. Well, here's an opportunity to go back and try it again to see if maybe with this project it works. Or you can just continue on with your double pointed needles. You know, the idea is to make knitting fun and comfortable and relaxing, and then have a great finished project at the end. It shouldn't be a tug of war and a fight between your needles and your yarn. So find what works best for you. That's my best advice, and that's really something I learned working on these projects. Also too, I wanted to go over, okay, so I'm done with this needle. I'm going to put it down. These are all still resting on my circular needle. I'm just going to continue knitting right off the next. But one of the things I wanted to talk about was naming projects. So we have a town near here named Osborn. It's a little small town, and they have a racetrack. So that's where we kind of got the name for this, as the Osborn scarf and hat pattern, kind of homage to the local town here with the racetrack. But I want to show you the colors and how they go around and around on the hat. It just makes me think of a racetrack going around and around. See how the colors change with the contrasting color and the dark color. And especially, this reminded me of a horse track. And we don't have a horse track around here that I know of. But just the round, just simple things. But when you're naming projects, it takes a minute. You know, you got to look and make sure nobody else has used that name before. You want something unique, something catchy. I just find it difficult sometimes to really come up with a name. But this one kind of jumped out at me once I got onto that thought of a racetrack. So thank you, Osborn, for the inspiration for the name of this project. Okay, so I'm almost finished knitting off the stitches from the last double pointed needle, and then I'll show you what that looks like. Here we go. I've got 2 more stitches on this double pointed needle. I'm just going to knit those right there, and then I'm going to take this locking stitch marker out and slide it on my needle. So now I have that beginning of the round marker right there, riding along on my circular needles, and it'll stay with me the whole time. Whereas before I kept having to move it up every few rounds so that I could really keep in mind where that spot was. Now you just see how comfortable that is. They're all on there. Now I just can start knitting like normal around. Whoops, if I don't split my yarn. Okay, now I can just start knitting around, and I don't have to worry about swapping those needles out. Now you'll go ahead and continue on following your pattern for the size that you're making. This pattern does come in 3 different sizes, small, medium, and large. Go ahead and continue on until you get to the end where you're getting ready to start your ribbing. And then I want to show you a couple of tricks on that and how we swap out the tips on our interchangeable needles. So I've done 1 row of the contrasting color here to give it a crisp changeover. And that's what I can show you here. You don't see the little pearl bumps because we're working into the same color when we start the ribbing as the solid color that I just went around with straight knitting. So that's why I did that, to get this really crisp changeover in color. But now's the point that we don't want to forget, because we're already working with the right color yarn that we need, but it's time to change out our tips to the smaller size, because this is where we want to cinch up the hat and make it stay on our head. So I'm using interchangeable needles. It's very simple to change those out. I'm going from a US size 7 to a US size 5. So I'll have my tips in here, and I'll show you how we change these out real quick. If you don't have interchangeable needles, then you would just start knitting with your next circular needle using the smaller size. Okay, so in here, there is a little hole down right in here. I put my T-pin in there, and then just take it off like that. And this is the size 5. I'm going to put that one on there. And then use that to tighten it up. And I do the same thing on the other side. And I'm using the Chagu interchangeable needles. You may have a different brand, but the philosophy, I think, for most of them is about the same. You have a little slot that helps you tighten them up, and then you can swap out the tips. Okay, so now I am ready to start the ribbing. Super simple, guys. It's knit 1, purl 1 all the way around. The same ribbing that we did on the scarf, but you just knit 1 and purl 1. Knit 1, purl 1. Go all the way down, follow your pattern for how many rows that you need to do this, then you just bind off and then block. For this, I highly recommend a steam block. And in our last episode, in our last video, I kind of showed you the difference between wet blocking and how much the yarn grows and versus not blocking at all. But for this, I would recommend a steam block, and then you're good to go. I really hope that you enjoyed the Osborn scarf and hat knit along with me. I had fun learning new techniques, trying different tools, and really just kind of thinking outside of the box. So in this knit along, we've used double pointed needles, 2 circular needles, and a fixed or interchangeable needles. I've done a couple of different casts on, so I hope you found those interesting. I hope you learned, like me, that switching tools and trying something new, you might be surprised. Like, I have never used the 2 circular needles, and I dove in and gave it a try and found that I really enjoyed it for this project. I still love my magic loop. I still want to magic loop everything. But for this project, I stepped away. I used double pointed needles. I used a fixed circular needle and the 2 circular needles. And I still had a lot of fun making these projects, and they turned out looking fantastic. So take a chance. Find what works for you. You can get the supplies with the kit and the yarn and the pattern on our website at onebighappy.com. Come join me. Take a chance. Let me know how you feel about which tools you like to use. And if you give you test out one that you don't normally use, let us know how that worked for you too. So I really hope that you enjoyed making this project with me, the hat and the scarf, inspired by the Osborn racetrack here locally. Don't forget, if you want to knit along with me, you can get the projects, the kit, the pattern, and the yarn at onebighappy.com. Happy knitting.